Oh. I want to be able to go back and see this. So the recording will start now. If you come up with questions along the way, you just go ahead and let me know, okay? I'll share my screen so that you can see everything. Those of you who have done physics with me before, this is how I generally tend to do my courses. I find it a little easier to, let me turn off the video for a bit. I find it easier to go through notes like this than a PowerPoint. So, all right. Again, anytime you have a question, please let me know. That's what I'm here for, is to answer questions. So first of all, first things first, I'm sure what you care about, besides the fact that you can get my phone number and email and all that, is the evaluation scheme. So how this course is going to be evaluated right now, the plan, and this could change at some point, but right now the plan is for 5 assignments, 2 tests, and then your final assignment. That's assuming nothing changes, okay? That's assuming we stay online. These 20% assignments are going to be 30 minutes at the end of the class. Sorry, my computer just went crazy. The computer at the end of the class. 30 minutes at the end of a class, and they'll be done through the Dropbox. So you'll go onto D2L, go into the Dropbox, get the assignment, do the assignment on paper or print it if you can, and then resubmit it to the Dropbox. I'll try to get a practice assignment up at some point so you can practice that. Okay? Your first assignment is Sunday, so even students that register late, that should be enough time. The first assignment is on complex numbers. We'll get to that soon. Okay? The tests, you'll notice they're worth 60. So obviously what that means is that there's 30% each. That is as much as some final exams. And the reason for that is because the final assessment was too heavy for one big thing at the end of the course. So the tests throughout the course are what are heavily weighted. So you're going to want to make sure that you know what you're doing before you go into these tests. The current plan, and I don't know if it'll stay the same. How many units are we taking? I'm getting there, Hamza. I'm getting there. The current plan is that they're going to be 10 multiple choice questions, and they're each worth 3%, I guess, of the year. That's not confirmed yet. That's the plan that the teaching team was talking about. I will update you if that changes, okay? So for now, it's 10 multiple choice done on D2L as a D2L quiz. That is maybe what's going to happen, but I can't say 100% that will happen, okay? So don't worry about that yet. By the time it's time to do any tests, you're going to know exactly what the structure is going to be. But there is definitely going to be 2, all right? Before I get into the actual course units, which you can see here, Hamza, if you want to look ahead. By the way, all of this is on D2L. There are 7 major course units. The course materials, definitely you should have the Casio. This is the best calculator for this course. If you have a TI-84, okay, I'll get to you in a second, Abdul. If you have a TI-84, it will work, but this is what you want. It does complex numbers, simplifying, all sorts of stuff. Sorry, 1 second. What? No, I'm in the middle of a class. Sorry, my wife and kid are downstairs. I wanted to make sure there was no emergency. And there wasn't. Yeah, get this calculator is basically what I'm saying. You can't go to the bookstore, of course, on campus, but you can find it somewhere. If you can't do that, then I've linked to a calculator emulator you can get on your mobile phone. I haven't found one for the Apple products yet, like an iPhone, but I'm sure you can find one. And you should also download Desmos on your phone, because I'm going to be doing a lot with that during the course. It's going to help you graph functions. Okay, so before I go any further, Hamza, what was your question? Or sorry, Abdurrahman, what was your question?
My question was about the test. How many units in each test?
So I've got this broken down. It's broken down more specifically on D2L, but the first test is 3 units. The second test is 2 units. And then the final assessment will cover the other 2 units. The way that this goes, so I can actually move on, there's 7 units in this course. You'll notice there's only 8 weeks in the course, and so that's why it's so tight, especially because EID comes right in the middle. So we have to do with what we have to do what we got to do, okay? We have complex numbers 1 week, functions, conics, and trig. Then there's an E break. Then we're going to finish trigonometry and start derivatives. The next week will be derivatives, and then week 8, sketching and matrices. And those are basically a class each. They're not very long. So really, these are 1 class each. And so really we have 5 units and a little bit extra, okay? You'll notice the way it's broken down. In the second week, which is next week, we have 2 assignments, one on Sunday and one, I believe, on Thursday. I've got all the dates in D2L already. Next week after that, there's an assignment 3, and then the next after that is test 1. Texas Instruments, Hamza, is fine. You're welcome to use it. There's nothing wrong with it. But for the type of work we're going to do, the Casio is better because it simplifies your numbers easier. For example, if we're doing complex numbers, you can do it on this a little easier, or fractions, for example, can do easier. But you can use whatever calculator you want. You could use whatever one on your phone, any calculator that exists, as long as it's just a basic scientific calculator. If you use PhotoMath, for example, to check your answers, that's fine. But obviously, you need to know how to do the steps. So use the Tech TI whatever if you want. It's up to you, but I recommend the Casio. Gandham, you said the assignment will be on D2L. Well, yeah, I said that it'll be given through the Dropbox, which will be on D2L, and I'll show you how to get to that after. I'll give more detailed instructions a little later, okay? But yes, that'll be on D2L. Everything's going to be through D2L because everything's online. The assignment needs to come through D2L, but it's not a quiz. It'll be like a paper assignment that you do the workings. The test itself will likely be a multiple choice quiz, but again, that might change. That's why I've got this question mark here, okay? So I'll update you on that when and if anything changes. Are we okay with that so far? I don't want to go too far ahead if you still have questions on what we've talked about. I'll take that as a no. Let's see here. Sorry, I've got 2 chats going on. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So office hours are subject to change, but I do have my schedule here. So what you'll notice is I've got all of our classes in, of course. You should be in there somewhere. For example, we're right here. But the office hours are just set, 11 o'clock every day, except for Sundays, which are at 1:30. If you're not free during those times, don't freak out. If you need me, just let me know. Send me an email, send me a text on WhatsApp. I'll find a time to help you out, okay? It's not the end of the world if you can't meet my office hours. It's just that's a time that I will always be available for you, right? So that's my schedule. If I change it, it'll come up on D2L. So as for attendance, like I said, attendance is being taken. It's actually being taken more strictly than it was last semester. We've all been told as instructors to take full attendance, make sure that students are coming to classes. And so I have no choice. I must take attendance. So make sure you show up. And if you're, just show up and make sure that I've noticed you, which I currently have. I take a little picture of the attendance list on Zoom and I'll match it. All good? So in class, I've said this before, but it's a super demanding course. You're going to need a pencil, a notebook, calculator, all the basics that you would bring to a regular class. If you've got one, use a laptop, use an iPad, use whatever you can to help you get through. You're going to need it, okay? It's a super busy course in a regular semester, and an intersession, double time, with EAT in the middle. You need to keep on top of this. I can't be any more clear than that. If you don't keep on top, you will not do well. It's just the way it is. Take the course seriously, okay? Obviously, you need to get 50% to pass, like most math courses. I've said check your email in D2L shell multiple times a day, at least once a day, okay? You've got to keep on top. It's an online course. Everything lives there. You're going to want to check it out so that you know what's going on all the time. Speaking of which, and I'll just show you the D2L shell. that's where everything's going to live, right? That's where you have contact, the main contact with the course materials. So we have math section 6. Most of the things you need to care about, I'm going to summarize in the news feed. So right here, you know, you've got all the information you could really need. And I've put it in step by step. Now, some of you don't have access to the D2L shell yet. That's okay. Don't lose your mind. You will be okay. You can still watch the videos I posted in the WhatsApp chat, and you can still get access to the content. If you don't have them yet, just text me, and I will send them to you. If you don't have my number or whatever, you can ask a friend, or you can have, what was I going to say? You can watch this video again, which I'll send to the email if I need to. How can you have A in the semester? You'll get an A if you work hard, is essentially all I can say. You should be able to get an A. It's not impossible. There's been plenty of students who have gotten it in the past. But you need to be working at it every day. Every single day has homework. It's just the way it is, except for weekends. All right, so I want you to, I said here, bookmark this YouTube playlist. The reason I'm saying this, I've put all the videos, these are Tom Stockley's videos, by the way. They're not me. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. These videos are all there. You'll see I've numbered them, lessons 1 through 10. For today, I wanted you to watch the first 5 videos. And so not all of them are that long. They're different lengths. They're just broken down by subtopic. So some of them are 5 videos. Some of them are, some of them are like 7 minutes. Some of them are 10 minutes. Some of them are 15. Just make sure that you do watch them. This is the main section of the course. I should help you. Sorry, Gandham, what do you mean I should help you? Of course I'll help you get an A. That's the whole point of these classes, really. The videos are to help you learn the content in the first place on your own time, especially during Ramadan. Like, everyone's doing their own thing. You find whatever time works for you to learn it in the first place. But the classes are going to be a time for me to connect with you and do all the extra practice and answer your questions as you have them to be able to go through and make sure you understand it fully. Okay, because sometimes a video is not enough. You can watch it 100 times, but you need someone to explain it to you directly, okay? So that's the whole point of these classes. You watch the videos, then you come to class and I'll do the extra practice with you. And hopefully through that, you'll get a bigger picture for how to do this stuff. All right, so back to the D2L shell. All the course notes are online, of course. You can see here if you go to content and you've got your topics down the side. So let me show you. For those of you that don't know what way I'm going to do this, go into content. Let me look at this as a student, actually, because right now it's looking at it like me, and that's not helpful to anybody. We've got too much stuff going on. In content here, yeah, I'm just about to get to that. In content, that's where you should start. If you click table of contents, it'll give you everything in one big pile, which some students like, some students don't. First of all, I've got the group chat. That's the link to the WhatsApp group. If you're not on it, click it, join it. Course syllabus, that's every topic in the course broken down. And then you've got the course information sheet, which is what I'm going through right now. That's what I'm talking about. So the course information sheet is up there. You can look at it online or you can just download it and see it. All that information I'm talking about is there for you, okay? There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to find it. Back here, you can see there's a formula sheet, and then of course, it starts into the course notes. These are the blank notes for Unit 1 with the answers. So I'll open both of these. The way you should work through this is that you have the same notes that I work through. Mr. Tom will work through the examples. I'll work through the practice. This is what you should have with you, either printed or on a computer, and then work through it with a notebook, okay? You need to do the work. If you don't put pen to paper for this course, you will not learn it. It's like trying to learn a sport without playing the sport. You can't just watch, you have to do. The answers are also up. Now, these are the final answers. In class, I will, of course, do all the full solutions. And by the end of the unit, I will post full solutions as well, okay? So by the time the test rolls around, you'll have the full detailed solutions there, and you'll have as much as you need to study from. In fact, you'll probably have more than you need to study from. It's just a matter of how much time you can commit. All right, are we clear so far? Sorry, I got a lot of things I need.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. So how most of the courses, classes will go, or at least how you know what to do for a given day, you just click into the topics and it will be broken down by day, okay? So as of right now, this is—
search the web for that. Just tap the—
Google's always listening. You have complex numbers, and today, Tuesday 28th, this is what I expect you to do for this day, okay, before you come to class. Now, I know for some of you that's not possible sometimes, but if you don't do the homework, you're not going to get an A. If you don't do the homework, you might not even pass, because this course is just too full to do everything online, especially during Ramadan hours, okay? I will do as much as I possibly can in class, but you need to do your part, all right? That's all I can say. You need to do the homework. If this was face-to-face, it would be different, but for this case, you need to do the homework. So there's 5 videos, different lengths. When you click on these, it just brings up the video. These are the same ones that I put on the YouTube channel, okay? So you can play through it. I find YouTube a little bit easier. You can get it from your phone. So if I had to suggest one or the other, I would recommend you go through the YouTube one, because again, it's easy on the phone, but if you want to, you can do it through the D2L shell as well. You'll notice that's all I had assigned for today. Now, of course, that's about 45 minutes of video, and there's practice problems in there for you to do, but that's the idea. If you need more help, there are extra web pages. For example, if you click on this, not only are there other sets of notes, there are tons of practice problems in there. So look, you know, simplify this. Okay, root -25. You work it out, and then you check your answer. Should be this. Check this answer. Check this answer. Check this answer. There are so many practice problems in this course that you'll probably never get through them all. That's actually a good thing, because it means that if you need to fix an area that you're struggling in, you will have more practice to work on, okay? So it's not there to overwhelm you, it's there actually to help you. Some of you might be overwhelmed, but that's normal. In the beginning, especially with all your new courses, it's normal to feel stressed right now. It's normal to be confused what you need to do, who you need to talk to, where your course content is, where your course information is. So take a deep breath. There's only a little bit in this D2L shell right now. Take your time to go through every piece. I made it. I know that there's nothing there that you don't need to see. Make sure you've seen every piece. You should see a little check mark on everything you've looked at like this, and then you'll know that you're doing it, okay? Same thing for tomorrow. For Wednesday, you'll see there's actually 6 videos, but some of them are very short. So again, don't freak out, but you need to do work at home. It's just the way it is. If you're not ready to do the work at home, well, you need to keep an eye on the drop date, and you need to drop it, because there's only so much I can do, okay? But that's it for the introduction to the course. The other stuff, of course, you can read yourself, but this is the big idea here, is that's essentially what you need to do. The only last thing I want to talk about before we get into the course content, the assignments will live in this Dropbox. So you can open the Dropbox, you'll see it there, and take the file out. I'll teach you how to do that later. And then the tests, as it stands right now, the tests will be as a quiz. So you'll go into quizzes, just like you did in your physics labs, and that's about it. Can you put a special option called homework? I'm not sure what you mean, Ahmed, because the homework is part of the videos. The videos are the homework. I mean, I can't be much more clear. You just watch the YouTube playlist or click in. What do you mean by special option? I mean, you say a special option called homework in content. This is the homework. This is what you do at home for this class. So you can call it what you want, but this is your homework. This is what you need to watch before class. Hence, your work at home. Yeah. Of course, any questions like this, believe me, I've done courses online. I know how frustrating it can be. I did a whole master's degree online. There was times where I wanted to throw my computer out the window, but I didn't. I mean, I don't think I did. I know it's stressful. Just take a deep breath and just get to it. Take it one step at a time, okay? Is there anything I can go through before we start the actual content? Abdo, you say you didn't get it. You didn't get what? How is the video my homework? Well, the videos are what you watch before class. And in the videos, it goes through the examples, okay? So these videos, again, this is...
Good morning. Welcome to... Now you're going to be seeing above it. I think that's what one here on page 2, simplifying,
all that stuff. You'll notice there's a practice here. There's example 1, and then there's practice 1. The example 1 is what Mr. Tom will do. The practice 1 is what you should try, of course, for practice. Once you've got that, you can check your answers because I've put the answers online. Remember this document, you can check your final answers. And then anything you have trouble with, I can go through in class. In fact, I'll go through most of the practice in class. As for homework, no, I don't mark the homework. So if that's what you're worried about, me marking your work, that is not happening. I'm not marking your work. But in a way, I am, because if you don't do the homework, you can't do the assignments. You can't do the tests. There's no way you can get through this course without doing the practice. So I just expect you to be on and focused, and we work through the stuff in class and you do your work, okay? So no, I don't mark the homework at all. I will probably never see your work, but you need to do it because it's how you learn this stuff, okay? Is that more clear to everybody? Okay. Again, just stop me at any time if you do need to ask a question. I try to be as clear as possible. Like I said, I've done online courses. I know this can be frustrating, but I am here, believe it or not, to help you out, all right? And don't be afraid to ask questions. So without further ado, oh, by the way, for those of you that wonder where the meeting link is, I always put it up top. It's always there. It's always the same one. I mean, it's different times. For example, if you check the Zoom tab, you'll see the meetings in the Zoom tab in the top right here. They'll always be there. I'll set them up at the beginning of every day. That's this meeting now. The ID is not going to change because I use my personal room. So you can feel safe that it's going to be there all the time. Oh, the last thing, I guess, I would recommend you look at the calendar. All your important dates are here along the side, or you can view the calendar itself. Calendar, go to calendar. You can make it look whatever way you want, by day, week, month, whatever. But all your important days are here, right? Unit 1, complex numbers, so the start of Unit 1. What's going on Sunday? Unit 2, functions, we start Unit 2. What else is going on? Oh, assignment 1. So assignment 1 is on Sunday, assignment 2 is on Thursday. So I've put every date in. So there's no excuse that you don't know when a test or an assignment is, because they are already in there. Okay, so it's to help you. It's not to freak you out. It's just to let you know when things are happening. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful and not going to give you a panic attack. Okie doke, how do we feel about that? I don't mean to bore you to death, but of course the first day, I want to get all this stuff out of the way. Okay, so, remember that in Zoom, you do have a Manage Participants button, and you can put a thumbs up, you can put a check mark, you can say I go slower, go faster, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at participants now, I'm clicking raised hand. You can see Scott Schemes raise a hand. Yes, no, all that, play with that stuff. Make Zoom your friend. Yeah, Yasser just raised his hand. So play around with it, because you don't always need to talk. You can just hit that little stamp, and even under annotate, if you click annotate, you can click stamps. So you can get these little stamps that you just stamp around the screen if you want. There's all sorts of tools in there. Don't be afraid of playing around with them. Just try not to drive me too crazy. Okay, so let's get to it. I want to start the course. And if anything comes up, if you come up with any questions after, you just let me know. I'm going to assume that most of you didn't watch the video, but I'm still going to have to do this quickly, all right? I'm still going to have to go through this stuff and skip a bit of it. You'll just have to go back and watch the videos if you haven't already. At the end of the day, though, let me just get to the big idea with today's class. Complex numbers are a real plus an imaginary part. All right, so we're starting the course now. What it means is we have a real number, which means 5, 6, 7, counting numbers, decimals, negatives, integers, and then an imaginary part, which is the square root of a negative number. We'll see later, this has the form a plus b and then j. J is our imaginary number. Some of you may have seen it before and saw it as I. And in most courses, in most textbooks, in most everything, imaginary number is I. Of course, why not? It's I. It's I for imaginary. But in rare cases in engineering, we use J because I, lowercase I, stands for current. So whenever you see J, it means imaginary number. All right? And we're going to get to about this point today. So there's lots of stuff to cover. I'll summarize it as best I can. So the whole point of this section here is to define what's called the imaginary unit, which is the square root of -1. Of course, before square roots of -1, we were saying it's not possible. Well, it is possible. It can actually be worked with just like a regular number, but the rule we're going to use the most is square root of -1 is this j value, okay? So how this works out, let's just try some practice, is, well, root of -9 is the same thing as, we can say it's -1 times 9 really is what it is. And that, if you remember from previous math courses, is the same thing as -1, root -1 times root 9. Well, root -1, we've just learned that this is something special. Root of -1 is j. We call it j. Root of 9, the square root of 9, of course you can get your trusty calculator out if you're not good with this. Root 9 is 3. Or, if you actually have your calculator like this, if you have your Casio, of course you need to know where your roots are. Root 9 equals 3, okay? I don't think I need to teach you how to do that necessarily, but it's nice to know that I've at least told you. So root 9 is 3, square root of 9, or a better way to put this is 3j, okay? 3j. Does anyone know why I put the j after? What I mean is, why does the 3 come first and then the j instead of j3? Anyone have any ideas? If you're still awake, still alive. No idea. So just, I'll make a note, I'll erase it later. The coefficient comes first. And then the variable second. Treat it like an x. You know, you want 3x, that looks good. You don't want x3, that looks weird. That's the big idea. You want to put your coefficients, your numbers first, and then put your letter at the end. So I'm going to try and follow that rule as much as possible. It just keeps your work nice and neat. All right, so root 5, what do we got here? Does anyone have any ideas here? Root 5. Well, think about 5. We want to figure out if there are any square numbers or perfect squares inside. Root 5 is really just 1 times 5. There's no way to make it easy. So it's the same thing as saying -1 times 5, which is the same as saying root 5j, okay? If you're not sure why, the -1 is what gives us the j, root of -1, and then of course the root of 5 needs to stay root 5. Yeah, so you suggested maybe it would be 5j. It's not 5j because there's a root on top of that 5 we can't get rid of. If you're not sure why, let me show you. Off to the side here. Really what we have is this. We can fix the -1 part, we can get j, but we can't fix the square root of 5. We have to keep it like it is. Okay? I'll keep that there. All right, so what about C? I'd like you to try C, D, and F. Give those a shot. You know, take a couple minutes. They should only take 2 minutes, and see if you can solve it. You can feel free to annotate too, right? There's the annotation tools you can use. You can draw on the side here, make little smiley faces. You know, it's up to you. Or you can just sit back and watch Netflix, let my voice soothingly wash over you, or turn me on mute. I don't know. But obviously you're here. You might as well try as hard as you can to keep up. So what about C? Anyone have an answer for C? We have the square root of -4 all squared. What's that answer going to be? -4. I think that I agree with you. Ahmed says -4. I look at this and I say, look, there's a square and a square root. Well, a square and a square root, they cancel each other. So this square root cancels with the square, leaves the -4. In fact, that's it. That's it. That's the whole answer. The 4j, I know it's tempting to get the j, but you need to do the exponent first. You need to work on those brackets, that exponent. So you work from the outside in. What you'll notice here is that this root -4 squared, you could say, all right, well, isn't this, what is this? Isn't this 2j? Well, I know you said 4j, it should have been 2j. And then we're going to square that, so something else is going to happen, okay? So we'll get to that in a minute. But it's not 4j. It's going to be -4. Root and square cancel each other. So let's go straight to E. I know you've answered D. For E, this one, we do the same thing. Look, cancel the root and the square. Done. Just that's it. There's nothing else to do. The square root has been deleted, so we can't get a j even if we wanted one. Okay, so that's it. It's done. For D, the answers I'm seeing here are 3j and 2j. Or maybe the 2j Gautam, I think, was maybe for C. So 3j, let's see what happened. Well, first thing I'm going to do, let me move that back because I know someone asked this. 45, we want to look for square numbers inside. Well, it's really 9 and 5 multiplied together. 9 is a squared number, so it's going to do something. Let's see what happens. This is the same as -1, because of the negative, a 9, and a 5. So each individually, this gives us a j. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 5 is the exact same case as earlier. It's going to be root 5 in order. That's pretty much all we can do. I'm seeing 3j root 5. That's good, except we want the j at the end. So really what I'm going to have is 3 root 5 j, which is, we just rearrange it so that we have the coefficient in front, the numbers in front, and the variable at the end, the j at the end. So I know I can't see your work, which is unfortunate, but you can see mine. Notice when I do my square roots, I put a little tail at the end. You see these at the end of my square roots? I put a tail, a little curve down. That's because I want to make sure the j doesn't sneak inside. What I mean is root 5j is not the same as root 5j. One is inside the root, one is outside the root. We want to make sure that we don't mix them up. Okay, so be careful there. Before we move on, let's try F. It should be a really nice and quick one. What do we got for F? Are there any square numbers, perfect squares, in the number 30? Well, it's really like 10 and 3. 10 is 5 and 2 and 3. There's no squares. What I mean is there's no, you don't have 1 or 2 or 4 or 9 or 16. So it stays the way that it is. You cannot change that number 30. You can't pull out a perfect square. So we got to leave it like it is. The best we can do is say it's -1 times 30. And that's okay. Just leave it as root 30 j. And we're done. That's it. Are you going to post your handwork last semester on D2L? Yes. So for those of you that don't know how I work, this is how I work. Everything I do in this booklet, this version of the notes, anything I write by hand, I will put on D2L. I'm not going to put it there every day because it's going to be a bit of work, but it will end up on D2L, so you have a copy of what you've seen me do in class. I will also post the videos of what we've done in class. So this whole class right now, I'm going to post a link to it on D2L. It'll be there for you to watch whenever you want. You can jump through it as you like. I will also post a full solution booklet for the whole booklet. It's not my solutions, but another instructor's solutions, so that you have full work solutions for every question before the test. All right? So there's really no excuse. As long as you're doing the practice, you'll have enough solutions there to help you understand it. Okay? So in short, Abdel, yes, I'm going to post my handwork. All right, let's keep kicking through this because we got lots to cover. So it says here we can find a pattern to help simplify imaginary expressions. I'm going to give you the quickest way to do this. J to the power of 1 is just j, okay? You'll see soon why I'm asking you to do this. J squared, well, if -1 is j, then if we square both sides, we end up seeing that j squared must be -1. So we can take -1 for free. I'm just going to make this small. I don't want you to get too confused by that. J cubed is the same as j times j times j. That's really j squared times j. And we know what both of those are. We know that j squared is -1, and we know that j is just j. So really, at the end of the day, j cubed is -j. I'm saying j so much that it doesn't even mean anything anymore. J, 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 J. J.J. Jonah Jameson. Anyone know who that is? Anyone know who J.J. Jonah Jameson is? Do we have any film buffs or comic book fans, Spider-Man fans in the audience? Yeah, deep cut. Cameo in Far From Home. Okay, anyway, let's get back on track. J to the power of 4. J times J times J times J. Why 4 J's? Because J to the power of 4 means you have 4 J's multiplied. This is the same as J squared times J squared. J squared is -1, so -1 times itself is just 1. And this is a super special case. It's so super special that I'm going to make it blue. Okay? Kazab. And j to the power of 5 is the same as j to the power of 4 times j to the power of 1. J to the power of 4 is a special case. Anything to the power of 4 is just equal to 1. If it's, let me put it to the side, j to the power of 4 is 1. J to the power of 8 is 1. J to the power of 12 is 1. J to the power of 16 is 1, and so on. J to the power of 20 is 1. Any multiple of 4 on top gives a 1. This is extremely important. We're going to use that a lot. It makes our solutions much easier. I don't do it the way, the book does it a little bit longer, complicated way. I skip that. I try to make it easier. So let me show you what I mean. J to the power of 4, what is it? What's j to the power of 4? Going once? Okay,
Uno.
yeah. It's 1. And j to the power of 1 is j. So j to the power of 5 is just j. That's kind of a separate case. You know, the pattern repeats after 4. So we can say j to the power of 5 is 1. So j to the power of 5 is j. J to the power of 6 must be negative 1. J to the power of 7 must be negative j, and so on. Let's see how this works. Let's do some practice. It says simplify to express with the lowest exponent. So the lowest possible exponent possible. Obviously, 51 is not the smallest we can do. So we can do better. What is a multiple of 4 just below 51? Anyone have any idea? I'm going to write something out and see if it makes sense to you. 48. 48 is the biggest multiple of 4 that is below 51. Hopefully you'll see that 48 and 3, if we multiply these back together, they'll give 51. 48 plus 3 is 51. Remember, this is the same as saying x to the power of 48 times x to the power of 3 is the same as x to the power of 48 plus 3, which is x to the power of 51. So our rule here, we haven't broken math. The reason I did this is because any j to the power of a multiple of 4 is 1. So this is the same as saying 1 times j to the power of 3. J to the power of 3 is negative j. So our answer is negative j. Good job, Dahia. Dahia, is that right?
Yeah, it is right.
I've never had a Dahia, so that's just, if I get it wrong, make sure you let me know. Nerd. You're just jealous, Abda, that she got it and you didn't. Okay, please try B. I want to see some answers for B. I want to see what you think B is. Try B yourself. Should take all of 10 seconds. So I'm seeing a negative 1 here. I'm not going to say it's correct. Could be correct. Might not be correct. Anyone else? We got a 2j. Right away, we're going to have a fight. 2j. Anyone else? Any takers? We only have two people in this match. We've got 1 once or twice. We've got 2j once. We have negative 1 3 times. Okay, let's see what I think. So 26 can be made of a multiple of 4. So j to the power of 24, that's a multiple of 4. Let me make it blue. And then I need to make up for what's missing. So add 2, and we'll get it back. I'm getting negative 1s coming in here. Let's see. J to the power of 24, it's a multiple of 4, so it becomes a 1. And then j squared. J squared is negative 1. So it looks like some of you are figuring this out. It's negative 1. So team negative 1 wins. And Ahmed Al Aswad, you can have the participation award, everyone's favorite award. It's important that you at least try. It's not a problem if you get it wrong. Who cares? It's just practice, right? This is not a test. This is not an assignment. This is just, it's learning. And you don't learn without making mistakes first, okay? So negative 1. Let me break down the next 2 really quick because we have more to do. Let's see. Let's try C. So let's see. I keep saying let's see and let's see. I'm confusing myself. Okay. 3, 9 is the same thing as j to the power of 8 and j to the power of 1, or just j. Okay. Plus 12. J to the power of 11 is the same as 8 and 3 together. So j to the power of 3 minus 7. J to the 18, that's 16 and 2. So this is probably the last time I'll color code these. All of these have multiples of 4 on top, correct? You can confirm that by dividing it by 4 and double check. So this is 3 times 1 times j, so 3j. This is 12 times 1 times negative j. So this is actually negative 12j. If you need me to show more work, I will. And the next one, this is 7 times 1 times negative 1. So negative 7 times 1 times negative 1. That's positive 7. Okay. Am I done? Does this look okay? Did I make any mistakes? Is there anything seriously wrong? I'm not done? Or I didn't make mistakes? I think I need to go one step further. Not done. The reason I think I'm not done is because this has a j in it, and this has a j in it. So really what we're dealing with are like terms. And just like if these are x's, they should be combined into one big term. You're exactly right. It's going to be 7 minus 9j. 7 minus 9j. That's our final answer. Now we have our real part 7 and our imaginary part negative 9j. So we're done now. Just make sure that you simplify at the end. So simplify. This is probably a good time to tell you that your calculator can do this. Now, you only use this to check your answer, but you can still use it. Hopefully you have this calculator. If you don't, like I said, I recommend you get it. I'm not going to tell you you have to. Under mode, if you click mode on your calculator, first mode is comp, second mode is complex. If you have the blue version of this calculator, you won't be able to do this. So it's not necessary. I'm just going to show you what you can do. Press 2 to get into complex mode, and then you can check your answer. So you put in 3. You got to press Shift E and G because there's a little I above that. That gives you your I. It should be power 9. Then plus 12. That's j to the power of 11. So the same thing as I to the power of 11. They mean the same thing. I'm slow because I don't have a mouse on this computer right now. Minus 7, Shift I, power 18. And if everyone is, if the powers that be are on my side, I will get the right answer. And I got it. I got what I was looking for. So that's a good thing. 7 minus 9i, 7 minus 9j. Okay, we've corrected, or sorry, we've confirmed our answer. So you can always try that, okay? What I would say is you can only do that for special cases, so don't get too obsessed with your calculator. You still need to show the work, but it's a very good way to check your final answer. All right, I'm going to do the last one really quick because we actually have a lot left to cover, and I've been going a little bit slowly through this. So the last one, negative 2, j times 100. Well, j to the power of 100, that's already a multiple of 4, so I don't need to touch it. This is the same as 5j. Let's see. 127 divided by 4. What's that? 127 divided by 4 is 31.75. So there's 31. You can take 4 times 31 to get the highest number. 124. All right? I'm not going to explain that too much. You can try that yourself. 124 is the highest multiple of 4. And then how do you get back to 127? You have to add 3. So 3. Minus. What's going on here? This is 4j13 power 2. How do we deal with this? So I'm going to tell you, you need to take the square and put it onto both of these terms. So what you really have is 4 squared times j to the power of 13 all squared. They multiply. You have to treat this like a multiply, 13 times 2. So what we have is 16 times j 26, which is exactly j to the 24 and j squared. So this is the same as saying j 24 and j squared. So some of you are probably like, I lost you 20 minutes ago. And if you did, I'm sorry, you should go back and watch the explanation that Mr. Tom had. or rewatch this video, which I'll post. Okay, so anyway, this is 16 j to the 24 j squared. Sorry, I kind of am overlapping myself here, but I'm sure you can pick it up. And let's figure this out. Negative 2 plus, sorry, minus 5j. J to the 24 becomes 1. J squared is negative, so it becomes a positive. So a little tip here. J squared just changes signs. Okay, so if you see a j squared, it just flips the sign of whatever it's touching, and you're done. Okay, j squared is negative 1. It's like the sign changer, so that's all it does. What did I miss? That's it. So we have 14 minus 5j. Okay, hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Any comments, questions, concerns? I'm going to move on because, again, we got lots to do. Some of my workings are a little bit messy. I'm sorry about that. But again, watch the video. It should make sense. I try to talk through everything. I'm going to show you, these examples are done in the video. I'm going to show you how to approach some of this. For example, okay, good. This question looks very much like the previous questions, but the difference is we need to solve for x. So the only difference is that instead of simplifying, which is just make it easier to look at, get the smallest exponents, in this case, we need to find the x value. So just isolate it, get it to one side on its own. So the first thing we do is fix the j values. The first thing is simplify your j's. Oops, it's a bit too close. Simplify the j's. And second is isolate or get x on its own. So let's do that. 2, j to the power of 8, that's a multiple of 4, so it's just a 1. That's times x. So really it's 2 times 1 times x. 7, j to the power of 4, also a 1, equals 15. All right, that's going to be pretty simple. This is just 2x plus 7 equals 15. And of course, you should remember that you just can move this to the other side. 2x equals 15 minus 7, which is 8. What's my last step? I hope you remember this. I hope it hasn't been too long since you did your last math course. Take this 2, divide it. That means x is 4. Halas. We're done. So let's not waste any time. Let's try another one. I want you to try and get the answer for B and then try D. Okay, I'm going to give you 4 minutes to try this until 4:55. I want you to try B and D. And again, you shouldn't just take this time to text or watch another 5 minutes of your show on Netflix. This is your chance to see if you understand. So take advantage of your chance. Anyone else? for B, Ibrahim? Okay. (16/-3) is the exact same thing as (-16/3). So you have the same answer as the here. The negative should always be on top, just because that's standard, okay? Got 2 more minutes to try and finish off D. Or just try B. You don't need to do both. I'm going to do them both out. How are we doing? Let's see what time we got. 30 more seconds. I might be evil and cut off the 30 seconds. For some of you, it's not evil because I just want to make sure we cover what I need to cover today. So I'll show you my process. I think it is (-16/3 if I remember correctly, but let's try. 3 stays where it is. J to the power of 10 is the same as j to the power of 8 times j to the power of 2, which is a 1 and a -1. So really, this should be a negative. So -3j. Sorry, -3x. Let me not skip too much because some of you might still be trying to figure this out. This is 4, j to the 4 and j squared. So the same case really, equals 20. This is -3x plus 4 equals 20. That's the same as -3x equals 16. Divide both sides by this guy, and you have your answer. All right, cool. Looks good. So 8 is not the answer. I'm not sure how you got it, but I'm glad that you had the courage to say your answer. It's important that you do. You need to be, you shouldn't have fear when you're doing this. You should just try it. If you don't get it, try again later, okay? I'm going to skip C. You can try that yourself. For D, I'm going to work on it. So let's see here. We have, by the way, this question, I'm going to make it purple. This would be a good assignment question. This would be a good assignment 1 question. Just going to put that there. It has a little bit of everything, okay? So let's see. We have x root -25. Well, root -25 is just 5j. So this is 5jx. Notice the 5j's in front because it's the coefficient, our numbers. And 9j7 is the same as 9j cubed, which is really -9, -9j. 4, j to the power of 15 is the same as j12 and j3, which is just -j in the end. So this will be -4j. And j21 is the same as j20 times j, which is just j. Again, I'm starting to go a little bit crazy saying all these j's. J. Okay, let's see what we can get out of this. We have some like terms. We got this guy and this guy. They need to get on one side, and these two guys need to group up together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this one over to the left. I'm going to bring this guy over to the right and see what we get. We get 5jx plus 9, so 5 plus 9, that's 14jx's. On the right side, we have -4 plus 9, which is 5j's. And it looks like if I divide this, ooh, we have something fancy going on here. We have a j on top and bottom. They cancel. looks like x is equal to 15 over 4. That's our answer. So if you didn't get that, if you did try the practice and you didn't get that, well, that's why. If you found this step at the beginning a bit confusing, just do it step by step. I didn't show every single step. It's probably a good idea that you go and try to get it worked out yourself. Hopefully it's not too confusing for you. Over 14, not 4. That's okay. That's okay. All right, let's move on. We still got some stuff to cover. Is there any little questions you want to ask before I move on? What's negative 9j? Which one? You want to know where this one came from? Is that what you mean? Or where this one came from? First one. All right, just very quickly on the side. 9j7 is the same as 9j to the power 4 times j to the power of 3. That's the same as 9 times 1, and j to the power of 3 is negative j. 9 times 1 times negative 1j. That's negative 9j. That's the same as this guy. That's where they come from. You okay with that? Okay. Well, you can always, when the video comes out, which I'll just show you, the videos will come into this top right in Zoom, okay? You'll see this list, and then you just need to go to previous meetings. So you have upcoming meetings, you have previous meetings, and you have recordings and stuff. You can find this lesson there again, okay? And you can even just go back and watch just one little section of it, just so you get it, okay? Let's move on. This is all very detailed, explained in a very detailed way by Mr. Tom. I just want to summarize it as quickly as I can to get to the main idea. Any number can be written as the sum or the total of a real part and an imaginary part. What I mean is the number 5 plus 2j, that's a complex number. You can have negative 4 plus 3j, that would be imaginary number. You could even have just the number 7j. 7j is the same thing as saying 0 plus 7j. Or you could have, let me give myself some space here. You could even have the number 6. That's actually still a complex number, but it has no imaginary part, which is why, of course, we just ignore it most of the time. But all of these numbers can be represented as a plus bj. In this case, this would be your a. Let me just, this is your complex part. This is your complex or imaginary part, imaginary part. This is your real part, real part, real part. All right? Let's see what this actually means in practice here. The reason we care about this right now is to get the conjugate. What the conjugate means is the sign of the imaginary part has changed. It's very simple. You take a number like this. For example, let's just say this is your number and you want to get the conjugate. It would become 5 minus 2j. Notice that it's only the imaginary part that changes sign, not the real part, the imaginary part only. Right? That's all the conjugate means. All right, let's do a bit of practice on this. So in practice 4, we have 7 plus 4j. Notice that this is the imaginary part. We can look at all of them. What are the imaginary parts? This is the imaginary part. This is the imaginary part. The next one doesn't have an imaginary part. Just putting on my video so you know that I didn't just start a recording and walk away and eat supper or something. Yes, 0j, exactly. So in this part, technically it's the same as 0j. So we're not going to be able to get the conjugate of that. It's not going to make a difference. So what we see here, it's very simple. This is the same as 7 minus 4j. Just flip the sign. Change it from positive to a negative. In the second case, this is 12 plus j. Again, just changing the sign. That's all we're doing. In the second step, it's the same as 0 plus 5j, which really we should be changing the sign. So you can ignore the 0, just call it negative 5j. And then in this case, there's no change because there's no imaginary part. Is that logical? Does that make sense to y'all? Those of you that are still awake or not too entranced by something else. It's very difficult to do online learning, I get it, especially this hour of the day. And especially, I mean, it is Ramadan. I get that. Let's move on. There's lots to do and not a lot of time to do it. So let's see how the conjugate is used. These examples, check the videos, okay? The video explains this. Tom's video. I want to show you that you can do addition and subtraction with complex numbers. You can do regular multiplication, which usually is 2 sets of brackets multiplied. You can even do division, which is one number over something else. And usually it involves the conjugate, okay? Division involves the conjugate. There's a lot of things you could look at in here, but I want to make it as simple as possible. So let's just go straight to the practice questions. Let's look at practice 4a. In this case, we have a negative 4 plus 7j plus 5 plus 10j. Look at your real parts. The real parts will add together, and your imaginary parts will add together. Even if there's a minus, just treat it like normal, okay? So the first time around, I'll break it up. This will look like what? Negative 4 plus 5. And our purple parts is plus 7j minus 10j. And I'm seeing 7 minus 4j. Let's see. Well, 7 minus 4j. This is negative 4 plus 5. That should be a 1. 1. And then 7 minus 10 is negative 3j. Am I missing something? Did I miss something? To me, this looks okay. And I'm going to use my trusty calculator to check it, okay? Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to check it on the calculator, and it looks to me like she's okay. I've also got a separate answer key that I'll just quickly look at. Yeah, 1 minus 3j. I'm right. I'm the best! Okay, let's try B. Again, normally I would let you do it. If you know what you're doing, of course, just try it yourself. But as soon as I look at this question, I see 2 things. I notice, all right, I've got my real parts for sure, and I'm pretty sure these are going to stick out imaginary parts because they're roots of negative numbers. And I notice one other really big pain in the butt, which is there's a negative in front. So if there's a negative in front, this negative needs to be multiplied by everything after it. So this and this. So I'll just say it's multiply or you change sign. Okay, negatives become positives, positives become negatives. Let's look and see what this looks like now. So we have 4 minus 3. I'll just write them out. By the way, 12 root negative 4 is the same as 12j. And negative 5 root negative 48. What does that give? I'll leave it for an exercise to figure it out, just to save time, but it should be 20 root 3j. And voila. 20 root 3j. So let me see what I have here. Plus 12j. Minus 3. Okay, it changed the positive 3 to a minus. And then minus, should be still minus there. Minus a minus is positive. Sorry, I'm doing a pretty bad job of explaining the little details here, but I'm mostly concerned about the subtraction. I'm trusting you that you can do the square roots by now. Your answer looks good. Here, let's see. 4 minus 3 minus 3, so 4 minus 6. Wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. I see what I did. So my, every now and then, you'll know this from physics if you had me. Every now and then my brain just kind of, oh, this isn't 12J. My brain just kind of gives up because after a long day, 12 root 4 is 24J, by the way. After a long day, I kind of get tired like the rest of you. And I started at 5:30 today because I have a 2-year-old who wakes me up. And I've been teaching for like 4 hours straight. So just go easy on me. It's all our first day here. All right, let's finish this. This is 1 plus, honestly, you simplified this. You don't need to. You can pull out the common factor if you want, or just leave it like it is. So you pulled out the factor j. You don't need to. I'm okay if you don't. All right? That's going to be our final answer. So, how do we feel about that? We've got 1 good, and I don't know, it's a lot of sleepy. Yeah. Okay, I know it's still math. Look, I can be the most interesting person in the world. This is still a math course, and we had very little time to make it online. So I'm doing what I can. I know it's probably not the most exciting thing in the world, but if you like math, well, I've got a treat for you because there's a lot of math in this course. Okie doke, let's move on. I'm not going to do C, but the same rules apply. You would change the signs. The rest is the same. In D, you would just multiply, but I want to do a little bit more interesting multiply. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do this question, and I'm going to do this question. All right, so follow me here. This is one of the last things I'm going to cover. In E here, we have a multiply, or we have 2 brackets. When you have 2 brackets like this, you should probably know your method already. You're going to take the first number, multiply it by the other one, the other first, and then the lasts. Basically, every number multiplies by every other number in the other bracket. It's called FOIL, but essentially, you can call it what you want. You just need to know how to do it. So let's go step by step. 1 times -9 is -9. 1 times positive 2j is 2j. -5 times -9 is positive 45. It keeps that j. And finally, -5, let's see, -5j times 2j. What's going to happen? Well, that's -10, but the j is multiplied to make a j squared. Or in other words, that's a -1 that pops out of this. So really, we get 10. So the easiest way to approach this, multiply the numbers, -5 and 2, so -45. We know we have a j squared, so it changes the j, sorry, it changes the -45 to a positive 45. So it's just positive 45. I keep saying 45, I'm talking about 2. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Change the sign, positive 10. Can you tell I'm sleepy? I'm sorry. Let's put the like terms together and we'll be good. So negative 9 plus 10, that's positive 1. 2 and 45 gives a 47. Sorry about that one. That was probably torture for those of you trying to follow along. But this 10, the reason for it is from this. Let's do H. Now, H, can someone give me one word of what I'm going to have to do for this question? Do you have any idea? It's a division problem, and what did I? Conjugate. Well, I wanted more than one syllable, but yes, conjugate. Conjugate is almost always what we do with division. Or if we have J's on bottom, you'll often see that we do a conjugate, okay? So this is what it looks like. Multiply by 2 and 3j, 2 and 3j, but we change the sign in the middle. And it's always the bottom. You don't ever do the conjugate of the top. It's pointless. Yeah, so when you say rationalize, it is essentially rationalizing. Rationalizing would be we do the same thing with square roots. So it's basically rationalization for complex numbers. But call it what you want. You're going to basically do the same method. You change the sign in the middle. Halas, okay? What we do now, you can treat this like brackets, and you do what we did before. So that multiplies everything on top and multiplies everything on bottom. So we should get 4 terms on top and 4 terms on bottom. This is what it's going to look like. 8 times 2, 24j, 12j. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. Change the sign, positive 18. On bottom, 4, negative 6j, positive 6j. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Change the sign, 9. Okay, so hopefully this is making some sort of sense here. There is an interesting case happening. In my opinion, it's interesting. In the middle here, okay, Abdo, did I make a mistake? Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, but you've got j's as well, okay? 3j times negative 3j, that gives negative 9, j squared. J squared is negative 1, flip the sign. That's all we do. So the interesting case I was talking about is that on bottom here, these are opposites. They will cancel. That always happens when we have the conjugate. That's what the conjugate does. The whole point is to delete the j term on bottom. That's the reason it exists. So it cancels that j term on bottom, and we can get to our final answer now. You should get 34 over 13 minus 12 over 13. Yes, but you're missing j. So on top, we have 16 plus 18. So yeah, 34, we'll end up getting this, minus 12j on top. On bottom, it's just 4 plus 9, which is 13. So my final answer. Yeah, 34 over 13 minus 12 over 13j. Perfect. You can leave it like this. You can split it up if you want. It's totally up to you. Some of you, I've had students that even do this. They put it in the calculator and they'll say 34 over 13 minus, actually it doesn't make any difference. It's the same. I thought it was going to simplify, but it didn't. Yeah, same denominator. So really, if it is the same denominator, it's actually best to group it into the one fraction. You might as well keep it. Your Casio oftentimes does not group it. So if you want to check it on Casio, that might be something to keep in mind. Okay, I know we only have 2 minutes left, but I just wanted to introduce the next topic because the next topic is very simple. So you can have it to think about, and then we'll just jump right back into it tomorrow. very simply put, and I'll go through it properly after. If you want to draw a vector on the if you want to draw a complex number on the complex plane, it's basically coordinates. For example, let's say we have the coordinates x and y, and I gave you 5 and 3. That would be 5, you go right 5 and up 3. The way you would write that as a complex number is just 5 plus 3j. They work basically the exact same way. The y coordinate is your imaginary part, and your x coordinate is your real part. Real and imaginary. So just take your point, 5 and 3. Or in this case, sorry, this is just an example. So that's not our actual question. Take this example. This is 5 left, or left 5, and up 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 2. We have a point like this, and we just connect it. It's an arrow. Now, of course, I probably could have done better. You should use a ruler. But this is how these things look, okay? Complex numbers can be written as a vector on a graphing plane or on graph paper. Those of you who have done physics, you know that vectors are just arrows with a magnitude and a direction, a size and a direction. I'm going to do the very last practice, and then I'll finish right on time. This, 1 minus 4j. That means right 1, down 4. So 1, 2, 3, oops, right 1, down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have this point here. It looks like this. That's how we graph these things. I just wanted to make sure I covered it today so you know that the next topic is not that complicated. And just to give you something to think about. Arrow always starts from 0 and end in the point. Yeah, if there's only one vector, we go from start to finish like that. If there's more than one vector, we do the tip to tail method like we did in physics. But that's a problem for another morning, okay? That's a problem for another day. So that's where we'll end for today. Lots to think about. Between now and tomorrow, you have a lot to do. There's 6 videos to watch. If you haven't watched these videos, there's kind of 5 videos to watch. Or you might just be able to go through the examples and do them yourself, okay? But don't fall behind. I think I'm pretty much done for today. Thanks everybody for coming. Make sure that, yeah, keep on top of everything. And other than that, have a really good night, okay? I wish that I could meet you all in person. It's kind of a big bummer to me that I can't, but this will have to do. All right. When I'm going to post my notes, my handwritten notes, I can't say for sure. Maybe I'll post them soon, but for sure the video will be ready maybe in about half an hour. Okay, so you can go by that. Any other questions before we go? Okay, excellent. Thanks everybody. It was great meeting you, and we'll try again tomorrow.